Chapter 4. Time for Testing. Standardized Tests. Next, you'll need to prepare for the required standardized tests. Many people are often concerned with the current state of their grades, but this doesn't have to stand in the way of you receiving admission to the university of your choice. In the case where your grades are not satisfactory for admission, you would undergo a standardized test. This test mainly seeks to prove that you are capable of handling the coursework that you'll be completing. More often than not, even if your grades are satisfactory, you might still be required to undergo a standardized test. Start studying the different tests that the university accepts at least a year and a half before your expected commencement date. If you'll be given the option to focus on one of a variety of subjects, pick the one that plays to your strengths. Don't go out on a limb and try to tackle a subject that you have difficulty in or that you're unfamiliar with unless you have to. It's important to note that there isn't a general standardized test that covers all universities in a specific region. These tests are not created by the relevant governing bodies in that region, but rather by the universities themselves. This means that you will have to know the specific university you're aiming at enrolling in, as well as the specific program, so that you can find as much information on their relevant tests. Side note: graduate programs will usually require you to take some form of standardized test, so be aware of this. Standardized tests. As mentioned, the type of test that you will undergo will depend on the country and the university of your choosing. Even within the same country, standardized tests can still vary amongst local universities. That being said, we'll be giving you information on standardized tests that are common across the board. There are notably two standardized admission tests in the U.S., the American College Test, or ACT, and the Scholastic Aptitude Test, or SAT. The ACT will be a multiple-choice test that covers language, mathematics, and science. The SAT will be a bit more in-depth as it tries to establish your level of critical thinking skills, as well as reading, writing, and mathematics. However, there are several standardized tests that you might have to undergo in accordance with your field of study. The Graduate Management Admissions Test, or GMAT, and Graduate Record Examinations, GRE test, are two of the most common tests that are usually conducted. The GMAT is specifically geared toward business programs, and the GRE is conducted for several other programs. The GRE will usually be encompassed by quantitative, analytic, and verbal reasoning assessments. The GMAT is similar in format, but the questions will be slightly different in accordance with business studies. Tests for specialist and professional fields. If you'll be venturing into a specialist field such as medicine, optometry, or law, you will be required to write a standardized test that is meant to gauge your skills in your specific area of study. Take a listen to these possibilities. LSAT, the Law School Admission Test, tests the skills required for the first year of law school. MCAT, the Medical College Admission Test, tests the skills required for the first year of med school. DAT, Dental Admission Test, tests the skills required for the first year of dental school. TEAS Test, Test of Essential Academic Skills, tests the skills required for the health sciences field. OAT, Optometry Admission Test, tests comprehension of scientific information. How to prepare for standardized tests. There are many free examples of standardized tests on the web. You can also browse through our website for as much information as you need. Ultimately, you'll want to ensure that you get your hands on a past paper that you can practice with. Your goal shouldn't be to memorize any of the questions because these are changed regularly. Your goal should be to comprehend what is required of you. If you can, try to complete the test in the allotted time frame. If you're uncertain of what that might be, check the top of the section that you're working on. All past papers and examples will indicate the time per section. Once you're familiar with the format and you seem to be nearing your timeframe target when it comes to completing the questions, you can get a bit more technical. As you practice using a past paper, note the overall time you have to complete a section and divide it by the number of subsections or questions. Set a timer on your phone to go off at these intervals to help you increase your ability to move through questions timeously. As a general rule of thumb, if you find yourself stuck on a question, put a mark next to it and move on. You'd rather complete the questions that you have confidence in first than waste all your time on a handful of questions you don't understand. After gaining some confidence by getting to know different sections of the test and practicing several samples of each section, try to take some mock tests. Practicing with mock tests provides a better perspective of what kind of questions will appear in the exam. You'll be able to assess your strengths and weaknesses with regard to test material. The huge plus is that you'll get to figure all of this out under similar circumstances by comparison to the actual test day. End of chapter checklist. Tick off each box when you feel that you know the answers to the questions with the utmost certainty. Do I know what standardized tests I'll be expected to take? Can I get my hands on past papers? If not, can I create my own or use example questions? And am I able to navigate the questions without losing focus? For more information on standardized tests, please visit our website, radviser.com.